This video is about factoring. This is factoring the greatest common factor out. Whenever you factor, or a question says to factor, you should always try this first. It won't always work, but you should always try to take a greatest common factor out. It will make the problem. It will simplify the problem. Okay, so you need to remember factoring is breaking something down. Breaking it down into its easiest parts. So if you want to check this answer, you just multiply back. 5 times 2 is 10x, 5 times 7 is 35. So the green, this is factored right here. Broken down. Alright, so you try and figure out a common factor between 4 and 15. Well, 1 is always a common factor, but you don't really take 1 out. I mean, you always basically take 1 out, but you don't really write that. So the factors of 4 are 2 and 2 and 4 and 1. And the factors of 15 are 3 and 5 and 1 and 15. So the numbers have nothing in common. But you could write it like this, 4xx minus 15x. And you can say, oh, they have this x, they have one x in common, so I'm going to take an x out. Whatever you take out, you're dividing. So then your answer, when you take an x out, that's what we decided we could, was our greatest common factor was x. You take it out, you divide it, so you're left with 4x, and then you divide it, minus 15. So this is as simple as it goes. This is the factoring of this problem. Sometimes you might want to do this. Try to think about a common factor that these numbers have in common. And that was that these numbers have in common, and they have a 2 in common. So that's going to be one thing I can take out. They both have an A in common, and they both have one B in common. So my greatest common factor is 2AB. That's what I'm going to take out. That's the greatest common factor. How you factor this problem is you finish, after you take that out, you divide by 2AB. That's what you're doing. So this becomes 5. I took out one of the A's, so I'm left with an A on top. The B's cancel. Plus 16 divided by 2 is 8. The A's cancel. One of the B's goes away. I'm left with one B. This is your answer right here. Alright, here's another problem. 72m to the 7th power n plus 24n. Okay, I can just look at it really quick and go, oh, look at that. They both have an n. So that's something they have in common. This term has an m7, but this term doesn't have any m's, so I can't take an m out because both terms have to have it in order to take it out. All right, then I can think of some factors of 72. Let's see. So this is one way to think about it. You could write the factors down, 9 times 8 and 8 times 3. Now these 8s would break down to 4 and 2. So 4 and 2 would also be factors, but you want the biggest number, the greatest common factor. And 8 is the greatest number that goes into both of them. So I'm going to take out an 8n. That's what I decided they have in common. 8n, 8n. And when I take out that 8n, I'm left with 9m7 plus, I take out an 8n, and I'm left with 3. So if you like to write it this way, this is good too. So then I cancel this, and that gives me the 9. And the ends cancel. So you have to leave the M7. And then when I cancel this, that gives me the 3. And the ends cancel. So that's where I got this. This is the answer.